Hey, we keep hearing about recession, right? We keep hearing about the economy in Canada getting bad. That's defined as a recession. And there's a technical term for it, but a bad economy, recession, keep hearing about it. Is it here? Has it arrived? Now, the thing is, the government reports say no. They say there's tiny GDP, gross domestic product growth. It's tiny. It's in some quarters it's nothing, but sometimes it's just a tiny amount, like 0.5%, 0.7%. And they say the jobs aren't bad. They say the jobs reports are pretty good. But could it be that that's just a function of bringing in over maybe 2.4 million people in 2 years into the country? I mean, they create their own thing. They create their own GDP. Just adding that many people who have to work, and maybe they don't work, but they got to eat, and they got to have shelter, and they got to buy stuff, and they got to get transported to places. The international students have to get to their schools. I mean, it's a long list, but it creates some economic activity. But in reality, are we in a recession right now? Like, it's a big country, so not every province is the same. I think probably everything in Alberta might be great. Alberta might just be singing along. Great. Like, they have a number of advantages in Alberta, particularly now. They have a lot of people coming in. They have the highest growth of all provinces, the highest, not even close. And they have a wide open construction system where they're not hemmed in by greenbelt stuff, and it's easier to get a permit, and life's a lot easier to build homes. And if you want in Alberta, it's much simpler. So they are building, things are going well. What about everywhere else? I mean, I don't think the economy in BC is doing too great. I hear a bunch of reports back there. I'm not totally as tied in as Ontario, but the stuff I hear in Ontario is, and that's the biggest province by population in this country. It's nearly 30% of all Canadians are in Ontario. And it ain't good. Like, it is not good. We see the Equifax reports, the credit bureau reports that talk about constantly growing arrears, both on credit cards, personal lines of credit, even mortgages. I mean, it's not severe yet. I don't want to have a big alarm here. Not severe in the mortgages yet, but definitely a constant growth in arrears on credit cards, personal lines of credit, auto loans. People I talk to in Ontario who do repo cars, they say it's just used to be just gone wild. So they're repoing cars constantly now. They can't even keep up. We read about big companies going broke, big construction companies going under, receivership. Third biggest transportation company in Ontario just filed for protection last week on Friday, I think. Stuff's going on. Like, it's going on. Like, literally everyone I talk to, the people I talk to a lot of people. People I talk to in logistics, that's warehouses. They say, yeah, less stuff going out of the door of the warehouse. Absolutely. One of the reasons that transportation company went broke is that the loads are falling. There's not much stuff being transported across country or even locally. It just is an endless discussion of how things are crappier in general in business in Ontario. Like, very consistent, extremely consistent. So, what's it mean? This is what it means, that high interest rates actually do work to crush the economy, and by crushing the economy, prices eventually come down. So that, by the way, that is the whole theory of this thing. Like, that is the only reason the Bank of Canada raises interest rates. It doesn't hate people, doesn't want people to fall behind on their mortgage. It is only one tool. There's one tool that we know to combat inflation, which is an overheated economy. There's only one way we know to fight it, and that is by having high interest rates, which make everybody have to spend more money on debt, and that's less money to spend on everything else, and then eventually things just quiet down, and then quiet down to the point where, whoa, everything's going bad now, all right? That's the way it works. That's the way it's always worked. So are we experiencing it right now? Because what every economist will tell you is these high interest rates take time to have a really brutal effect on an economy. This doesn't happen in the first few months, doesn't happen in the first 2 weeks, doesn't happen even in the first year. It doesn't. But it's been 2 years. It's more than 2 years now that it's April. It's 2 years and 2 months since the first increases. So, has the economy in Canada start to crumble? Is that what's going on? Will there be more job losses? Will there be less spending? I think the realistic answer is, particularly in Ontario, the answer is yes. I mean, I don't see any way this is suddenly going to turn around. And I'm not even sure with rate cuts. Yeah, rate cuts are going to help the construction industry a bit. Rate cuts are going to help house sales a bit. But if enough people are out of work, I'm not sure how rate cuts instantly restore people's employment. So, folks, I think the question about whether or not there will be a recession may have been answered. We'll have to stay tuned. We'll see. But literally every day, I think in my own life, and yeah, there's confirmation bias, but still, this is people telling me this stuff, and I'm not looking to ask. They're telling me. So I'm thinking the recession could be here.